You know, I'm sure that a visitor to Dumaguete City would be able to tell us a little bit more about his own impression. I was talking about the new philosophy of sports, ladies and gentlemen, and they brought in someone who is a pastor. His name is Reverend Louis Robinson, and he is now the coach of the new Greyhound. He came in May, is that right, Louis?
May, yes.
In May. And where were you before that?
At home, retired, being quiet, just enjoying my life.
Yes, and I understand you've been in the service for quite a while.
Yes, I spent 20 years in the service. Got a chance to travel, do a lot of things, and actually to really grow. And they gave me the opportunity to actually multitask, to do a lot of things.
In addition to being a stand-up comedian.
Oh, that's fun. That's fun. Well, actually, that happened by accident. I was a manager of a nightclub at the time and working part-time, and a comedian didn't show up.
Okay.
So what we had to do, I
get Louis up there. And
I started talking, and people started laughing, and I started talking more, and they started laughing more. So this became a weekly thing.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, I knew I was not only a manager, but a comedian. And that was fun.
And what about sports? I understand you've been a sports person all throughout your life. Played basketball, football, and...
Well, when I came up in high school, I was running track, playing baseball, basketball, football. Yeah. It just was inside of me, and I wanted to do it, and I had a passion for it. And when I went into the military, I had the opportunity to play sports. And I think just all my life I've been playing sports, lifting weights, or doing something with sports. And it's just a passion I have.
So this had also answered your own need for someone who's going to take care of the boys.
This is the thing that's, it's hard to understand. Because, I grew up in most of my life in the U.S. And just like Lou, I played American football, basketball, baseball, soccer, any sport that was in season. I even played ice hockey for 2 years. And you just do it because that's the life in the U.S. You just play sports, and it's by season. And because of that, you're basically a jock. And you learn, there are a lot of life lessons in sports, because a lot of the sports, there's no adults around. You just go to the park, and sometimes you get into beef with somebody, and you learn from that. And sometimes you get whipped, 40-0 in baseball, But there's no adults. You just learn. Okay. You just learn on your own. And the philosophy that we're bringing into Foundation, or we've already brought in, but we worked on it very hard for the last 12 years, is this idea that sports can provide you life lessons. It isn't just some jarhead jock that you tell them to run this direction, run this direction, run this direction, do a push-up, and then it's done. Right? Okay. It isn't any of that. And what is it? Well, one of the frustrations that we had in the past was we just couldn't get most of our athletes to pass their classes. It was just an impossibility. When I got here, easily 80% of the athletes were not going to school. Or if they were just sitting in the cafeteria.
Okay, they were not going into their classrooms.
No. And the other thing I also found out, which was to me a travesty, and it continues to this day, that for any tournament, major tournament, even national tournaments here in the Philippines, a student athlete only has to pass half of his subjects plus one. So you have a D average. So when you finish school, when you finish school and sports is finished with you, because there is no professional sport here other than basketball, what do you do with your life? Okay, and I present that to many of the athletes is, when sports is finished with you,
what would you do?
What are you going to do? Because many athletes don't consider that a sport will be finished with them. What are you going to do? So we worked very hard for the last 12 years, and I would like to say that this year we finally have student athletes.
Okay.
Finally. We have
students first and then
athletes second.
Okay.
Yes, and we have roughly somewhere between 80 and 90% passing. I'm not talking about, passing +1. We have a GPA minimum required.
Required?
Yes, it's a 2.75.
Okay.
For the student athlete. And this is cumulative. This is not per semester. This is whatever you build up over the years.
Okay.
Yeah. We've had that for 12 years, but it's very hard to implement because the students
it's a mindset, it's a paradigm shift now, as far as that. So where do you come in, Luis, as far as this new philosophy of sports is concerned? You came in May, and what did you find when you were working with the boys? He was telling me earlier, Dean, they were short.
He's the tallest player on the field.
Okay, Luis, yes. Well, question.
I have to pause because my guys are sitting back over here.
Okay.
But they wasn't what I expect to be, of a basketball team.
Look at them. Huh?
Okay. They were short. They were mama boys.
They were mama boys?
Every last one of them.
Meaning what? Meaning what?
Mama, I got to go home for my allowance. Coach, can I go home? It was just amazing to see that these kids, they was whining, and I had to remind myself that they are still teenagers. Okay. They are still learning, they're still growing. But I was impressed that education meant a lot to these guys.
All right.
And that was so much of a passion to them that the education came first, and they knew it, and they knew that they couldn't play unless the grades was right.
Okay.
And they knew that, and they was dedicated, and they came out working hard with these grades and working hard on the court. Sometimes they remember what I told them, sometimes they forgot it, but it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of patience.
From the coach?
From everybody, from everybody. And I have watched them grow, and each day I'm watching them blossom into a player, and from a player to a team player.
Okay.
And that's fantastic.
And what else would you want to expect from the boys?
To keep trying, to not give up.
You've won competitions, I understand, already.
No, we actually have won games, and we came in second place in the governor's competition. And that was a hard fight for them. They had to believe, and that's something they didn't have, that faith that they can do this. They didn't think they could beat other teams that was taller. Well, because they were taller. They were taller, they were bigger.
Okay.
So they thought that they could not win. Finally, our last game, they gathered together and decided we can beat anybody we believe. And they came out and they played a great game.
Right.
Fantastic
That's what I
game.
heard.
And it was surprising to me that the guys actually listened, and they said, okay, we're going to listen, we're going to run, we're going to run, we're going to run. Greyhounds runs, and these Greyhounds, they run.
They really
run.
Then they rock too.